Streaming live from the USA, it's the Tea and Telly Show with Maria.
Hey everybody, thank you so much for being here tonight. I already have our special co-host with us already. Those of you know already, we've got PJ out in the corner there. Say hey, PJ.
Hello, everybody.
And Miss Elyse, who you have seen before here. Do you need to go? Go ahead.
I just have to be back in 1 second.
No problem. You go right ahead.
Just pick her off, Maria. Let's pick her off the screen.
I'm going to do that. Okay. So, anyway, thank you so much for being here. And we don't want to delay any further our special guests that you have all come to see. Thank you so much for being here, everybody. And I'd love to say hi to you individually, but I'll do that later on. But thank you for being here. So without further ado, everybody, welcome our wonderful guest, Eric. Eric Hayden, thank you so much.
Hey, how's it going, Maria?
Good. Yes, awesome. Good to see you.
Thanks
this is great. Well, you have really had people excited to see you here. And let me bring Elyse back on here. Okay, there you go.
I'm so sorry.
Don't apologize. Okay. Life happens. So, first of all, I want to just ask real quick, since we've been kind of wondering. First of all, everybody, of course, is excited about your latest project with the Orville. And that has to be a dream job right there.
Yeah, that was a blast. I was very honored to be on that show.
I know. What part did you play in that? Because I'm sure that team is huge.
Yeah, so I was one of 3 co-visual effects supervisors. So I worked very closely with Brandon Fayette and Brooke Noska to bring all of the cool spaceships to life and many other fun things. So it was a huge journey that took every minute of almost 3 years to create.
Are you catching up on your sleep now after all that?
I'm trying. There's no real rest. There's never any rest.
Well, one of the things is every time I review something I've seen, I always mention the sound, the vision, the visual effects and everything, because that also ties into everything else that goes on to a show. It's important. And with this one, first of all, let me say, for those of you who don't know Eric's work, we'll have to present that to you. It's long. He's directed, he's written, and he's done so much. And so the progress from where you started to where you are now, how in the world do you top that? I mean, what you guys have accomplished with the Orville is unbelievable.
Well, let's just hope for a season 4.
That's what we're doing.
Yeah, that would be great. I don't know. I mean, the Orville was a monumental amount of work that was done by a tremendously talented group of people, and from day one of coming on to the show, because I was new to the show for season 3. I was not involved with either of the previous seasons, and it was like running jump onto a very large train that was headed very quickly to a massive. I don't want to. It was an intimidating thing to join. Fortunately, people like Seth and John Cassar and all of the creative people involved with the show were very welcoming. And it became instantly like a new family to be a part of. And it was great. It was a great experience. And it really, there were parts of it that were poignant, because it really became an even closer family during pandemic time, during 2020, when we all worked from home. And yet it was so wonderfully important for all of us to see each other every day, even on Zoom. connect. And so it really helped to have such a monumentally creative project to work on during those very, very strange times, and one that turned out really good, and I'm proud to be part of. I mean, there's so many talented people involved, from the writing on down, but I'm only involved with the visual effects portion, which I say only, but that represents, thousands of people. In many, many different countries and in many, many different companies around the world. So it was a pretty amazing thing to be a part of.
Well, that's what makes it even more amazing, is that it was done during that time when we couldn't connect together, and yet you found a way to communicate and still get this done, like if you were sitting next to each other. But I don't want to take up all the questions here. PJ, would you like to?
Well, we had the privilege of speaking to Eric through COVID, and Eric, would you say that looking back, were you guys perhaps, because you guys are more tech oriented, were you guys perhaps less hindered than the rest of the crew?
For sure. I mean, there was a stretch when production was completely shut down, but our departments were able to continue working because we had shot enough footage that was edited and was available for us to work on. So
I assume that there may have even come a time, I'm not sure if you told this to me or am I imagining it, but like maybe you guys even ran out of stuff to do at certain points.
I don't think we ever fully ran out. I think we started shooting it again at the exact right time. I'm sure
there's always stuff to do.
I was going to say it always takes exactly the amount of time that you have to make any project. There's never any such thing as running out of things to do. But we did do a tremendous amount of work during that time before production ramped up, and that allowed us to get ahead of some of the episodes, which I think personally allowed us to have a much stronger handle of the VFX work that we had. We had a longer period of time to develop the artistic back and forth that we had with all of the people working on the show. So I don't know that we would have had that if we were pressured to finish the entire show within a year. Sometimes things work out in mysterious ways.
No, they always do. Miss Elyse.
My question that I have. I hope that it's not a spoiler, but there's a lady in the last episode, and she has 4 arms.
Yes.
I was wondering, did your time on Spider-Man 2 help that puppeteer with her arms?
No, it didn't in this case, but I love that you brought that up. No, it was that was one of my favorite jobs I ever had to work on Spider-Man 2. They came up with a very clever way to create the 4-armed waitress on set, and I don't know if there's a behind the scenes of it yet.
There are. I watched some bloopers.
Okay, good.
When he was on green screen and he was dancing because he was doing Fiddler on the Roof.
Oh yeah, that was from Spider-Man. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that was a video that we made for fun, just because basically on Spider-Man 2 we got to rehearse for while they were shooting for like 9 months, and so just to make sure that we were able to set up the arms and have them work, really fast whenever they were needed. But as for the waitress on set, no, they came up with a clever way of doing that without having to have me.
Cool.
Put a bunch of wires everywhere.
Cool.
The Spider-Man 2 was, there we are. There's Fred.
I love that.
Yeah, what a great experience that was.
I bet.
And a shockingly large amount of the shots that you see in the final film are actually the puppets, not the CGI one. I think in the still frame that we see right there, that's actually the CGI ones. But there were. Yeah, I'm trying to. I don't know if I can find a good one easily, but I mean, we created those tentacles, and I helped with the model shop that made every one of the pieces that became part of part of the tentacles
So
and
cool.
how they worked together and everything like that. That was a very, very, very fun job to be a part of, and in a great crew to be a part of as well.
It was spectacular. I absolutely love both Spider-Mans, but Spider-Man 2, I was impressed
fan.
with those arms.
Yeah.
Yes. Big
It was
fan.
Sam
visually
Raimi is a really, really fun director to be involved with.
Yeah.
He's a really great guy, and I was honored to be on that show for sure.
Well, you've had the blessing to work with some incredible people, I tell you. But what helps is your talent. It is.
Oh,
You know how
thanks.
long it took me to do one of my intros? It took me like a week for
Well,
a
it's
1
great.
minute intro.
Well, hey, those things they take time, and it takes a lot of. I mean, it takes a lot of time to master the software and everything that's involved with that. I didn't even become involved with the computer side of effects work until much later, because I was much more into the handcrafted projects for the first 10 or so years of my career out here.
Is there
Can I?
Oh, go ahead. That's
I was
Elyse.
just gonna ask, Eric, do you still have any of the things that you made, like any miniatures or?
No, it's weird because I never was a collector of pieces. It was kind of always frowned upon. People would sneak stuff away. In fact, I was when I was working on the first Spider-Man, somebody got busted stealing Spider-Man costumes,
Oh,
and that was sad. They went to jail.
Oh my
That was like a
gosh.
huge coordinated job of.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and then there was another one. I can't remember. I think it was Bicentennial Man. There was like an entire duplicate costume that was stolen from.
Oh my
the
gosh.
studio. It was so it was always kind of frowned upon to have stuff.
your work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I will say a fair amount of the stuff that I worked on got blown up. And
That's
so
cool.
there wasn't much left at the end, and I'll say that there's a few things as satisfying as watching something that you work on get completely destroyed.
I bet. Oh my gosh, PJ.
Eric, I'm just looking for the next image to put up here.
Okay.
But what I am sure you've heard this all week long. What does it feel like to have been part of a team that has out Star Wars?
Oh well, I appreciate the compliment. I don't know that it's one of those things where I don't know that I can I humbly must not take that and say that, but I will say that I'm proud of what we did do. I'll also say that I think that a lot of the stuff that's being done on like Mandalorian and the Disney Plus shows are some of the best work that I've seen. So it really, we're in a time right now where visual effects, I think, are becoming a fun art again.
Mhm.
I think they were going through a phase of being mundane because it just was like a lot of more of the same stuff instead of better stuff. And now I think we're reaching a phase where we're trying to do better stuff again. In the case of season 3 Orville, I have to give all of the credit to Seth for. I mean, and I'm sure he would be the same. Say, oh no, there's a lot of people involved because there are. I mean, but he's the one who sat with us to approve all the animations and to approve all of the designs and to approve the final renders and everything and to give notes. And he's very astute. He's extremely good at communicating what he wants. And in ways where he's very good at getting a good handle of the colloquialism that is the dialogue that the artists communicate with each other. Because sometimes when we're having an artist to artist conversation, it's a very technical conversation, and it can get lost in it can get the what is being said can get lost in the techno babble of it all. Seth is able to carve through that and pinpoint what is being said and able to communicate in ways that makes it easier to execute what he wants. So yeah, I have to give him a huge ton of credit, and I would say that the artists that worked on all of the shots I mean, they really brought their A game to the show, and that is, especially in a time when so many shows are being made, it's hard to get that much talent to come together to really make sure that something sticks the landing. And I know that, I mean, I don't want to downgrade any other work that's out there, but I will, I'll say that we were very fortunate to have the A game from every single company that worked on the show. And it helped and made it a lot easier to get what we wanted out of everything.
And by the way, my comment was not in any way to put anybody down. It's just like,
no,
you guys were just the latest to come out, and you guys really blew everybody away. So,
well, I appreciate it, and I didn't take it so much as that, as much as I still love Star Wars. I mean, Star Wars is the reason I got into the industry to begin with, and it's weird to me that I can still watch the original one, and I'm at the age where I can't find anything wrong with it. I'm sure other people would tell me that I'm crazy, but yeah, it's very flattering to be held in that esteem, and I appreciate it, and I'm sure everyone on the show appreciates it.
Absolutely.
I feel like there were elements in the new Orville season that had kind of Star Wars vibes. Like there were the chases with the ships with Kelly and Borders. Mm-hmm. I was getting kind of Star Warsy vibes from those battle scenes.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I mean, some of that was definitely inspired by Star Wars, and just the original sense of how Star Wars was inspired by World War II airplane footage. So we wanted to have that sense of momentum and have that sense of danger and drama through all of it.
I was wondering if there is ever anything that you guys have created that ended up not getting used, and you're like, dang it, that was really awesome.
Yeah, it's funny because normally there is, but I don't feel. I'm trying to. There's. Yeah, I think it's not a secret that there is an entire episode that we didn't shoot. And due to scheduling constraints and due to the complications with COVID, and that's being turned into a different property that will be out eventually. Mm-hmm. And in many ways, that was my favorite script that I read. But we didn't get to make anything for it. So I don't know that I can say that there was anything. I feel like everything that we worked on is for Orville is on the screen, and that speaks to the incredible attention to detail from Seth and the editing team and Tom and all of these people who really, really, really knew exactly what they wanted. So we didn't create excess stuff, and we were able to edit things longer than the standard runtimes, and just keep it all. Why not keep it all? Seth wanted it to feel more cinematic, and so it did feel like we had, all these like little mini movies or movies. Each week was like a movie.
I was so glad nobody was videotaping me while I was watching it, because I think my mouth was open the whole time.
Oh, yeah.
For the first time in a long time, just sitting there going, oh my God. And the excitement, it's been a long time since I felt that, because you can feel it, and it just was unbelievable. And I think that's why everybody is so excited, is because we haven't seen something like that in a long time.
Yeah.
Eric, somebody mentioned in the chat, I think it was Pedro, talked about
Pedro.
The de-aging of Dolly. Did you guys do any work on that?
We did, and some of the details of that are sort of top secret industry type things. But yeah, Dolly was very flattered with how she looked in the show in the end, and that was a special occasion. it was I think it's also not a secret that her half of her footage was shot in her studio in Tennessee, and a lot of the reverse footage was shot here at the Fox lot, which was a bummer because I really wanted to meet her and I didn't.
Well, she actually gave kudos to you guys for, as she said, making her look good. So she was really thrilled with how she looked as well.
Yeah, that was very cool. That was very cool.
Oh, yeah. PJ, was there a question there from somebody that?
What was one of your favorite shows to work on? I think you
Elyse.
kind of were mentioning it.
One of my favorite episodes that we did was the second one with the kind of arachnoid aliens. And my favorite bit that we did of the whole season, because I'm a practical effects guy, it was so much fun to do the creature transformation scene where the ensign gets the goo on his face and he goes through the creature transformation right there. John Cassar directed that episode, and he and I both looked at each other and said, "We're doing American Werewolf in London. We're gonna do our version of it, and it's gonna be a blast." And it turned out great. The company that did the prosthetics for that sequence, Optic Nerve, Jason Collins and I go way back, and so he was able he and I talked about the various iterations of exactly what we needed for the prosthetics for that scene and the order in which we shot it, because it transitions from one prosthetic to the next, and the guys at Fuse Effects did a phenomenal job of making it as gross and as awesome as possible. Yeah, that was a blast.
It was awesome. Yeah. I know that. People will ask what your favorite movie was, but I got to tell you, I'm thinking, and we'll bring this up a little bit later, but you got to be creative on your own with your own film. You wrote and directed, right?
Yeah. My film, Astronaut: The Last Push, and I'm always happy whenever anyone finds it or discovers it. It's fun to see people talk about it, however many years ago it was that we made it. But that I'm very proud of that film, and that was a huge undertaking. It took almost 5 years to make.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I promised to watch it before the next time we talk, so I watched it this week.
Yeah.
And I loved it, Eric.
Thank you very much. That means a lot.
It was very elegant. It was I don't know. It was very believable, and it really left you wanting more.
Well, BJ, I can't tell you how much that means to me, because it's one of those things where if you look at the ratings for it, which I torture myself with every now and then, it's a reasonably split down the middle, where people were either enjoyed the journey that it was, or people got frustrated because the ending wasn't what they wanted it to be.
I got to tell you, the ending was exactly what I wanted it to be.
Oh, that's cool.
Well, it was wow. I was like, I'm so glad you guys went there.
Yeah, well, thank you. That was a fun journey that Kari Payton, who we went to college together and have been very, very, very dear friends for many years. And my wife Kim was very much a part of it. She composed all the music for it, and we created. We did what we wanted to do, was create kind of an improvisational science fiction piece, where it was all the dialogue was improvised. We had plotted the points of the plot, but even like when Lance Henriksen came in and when Brian Baumgartner was on, all of the dialogue was improvised through the whole film. So it was really I wanted it to feel unscripted, and I think we accomplished that. The only part that was written was the poem, but we pinched that from T.S. Eliot.
That's interesting. You said unscripted.
Cool.
I guess that really fits the description of what I saw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It almost felt like it was a documentary almost, and I was like, it's a film, right? Because it gave it that feel.
Yeah, we wanted it to have a sort of authentic feeling, and have it feel like the cameras that were shooting Kari there would feel almost like they were genuinely part of the set, and that it was a sensation that almost gave the audience claustrophobia. It really plays well in the theater. When we took that on our film festival run for about a year, seeing it in the theater was completely really, really,
surreal.
Fun. Yeah.
It's gotta be your
guys, just so everybody in the chat knows, Eric has made that available. You guys have made that available on YouTube.
Yeah, it is. Actually, that was it's, you can get it for free there. It was on Amazon Prime for a while, and the distribution company released it eventually on YouTube. So it is fine. You can find it and watch it, the whole thing there.
Maria, it'll be in the link, guys, below.
We need to get our Orville community in to see that. I don't think people maybe are aware, and I think that if we do that, you'll have a lot of other, it'll probably fire back up, because it is great. I enjoyed it. And real quick, and I'm not sure if you're about to leave, but I have somebody.
No, I'm good for a little bit longer, for sure.
Okay. Oh, thank you, PJ. You can read my mind. I was going to say Chuck was. Thank you for being here, Chuck.
Yeah, hey,
he
Chuck.
was very anxious to speak with you real quick on this, so he has a question for you.
All right, writing and directing film is daunting. What did I enjoy the most, and will I do another film? Okay, the least enjoyable part. Trying to think of. It was finding the distribution once it was done. Once the creative part becomes business, it becomes very, very emotionally painful, because you're still invested creatively in the process, and then when it comes down to just nuts and bolts and numbers and everything like that, it becomes painful. There was a point at which a distribution company made an offer, and our lawyer recommended us to have the offer modified, and then after that they rejected it, and Kim and Kari and I were very, very down for a stretch, because we actually had a long talk about, are we going to have to reshoot a bunch and everything, and actually there was there was a stretch where we submitted to a bunch of film festivals before, and once you get into one film festival, then it all starts to snowball. But you have to get into the first one, and everyone sends off to Sundance to begin with, and no one gets into Sundance, and so you go through that initial disappointment, and then there was a stretch there where we thought we're gonna have to re-edit the film, and then all of a sudden the snowball started rolling downhill, and we collected a bunch of film festivals. Probably the most enjoyable is watching the film with an audience, in particular the Fargo Film Festival in Fargo. It was in March. It was snowing. It was cold, and it was exactly what you would want Fargo to be. And yet the whole community came to their film festival, and it was such a cool thing to be a part of, and to see it in a completely packed house that was very much into it, and because we'd won the Best Picture and Best Actor award, and they really rolled out the red carpet for us and made us feel very special. And I'm still in touch with a lot of the folks from the Fargo Film Festival. It was a great experience. And will I do another film? I'm working on one right now. I'm working on a documentary, and I'm super excited about it, and I can't wait till I can share it with everyone. It's not a secret. It's based on a book called American Madness, and it's about how harmful and complicated conspiracy theories are in our world right now. And it's based on a book by the author T. Krulos from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And he wrote this really beautiful book that I highly recommend. It's called American Madness, and it's a really there's the astronaut. I don't know. I bet you could find a picture of. I don't know if I can share stuff online, but you can find a picture of the American Madness book cover.
I will do that.
Thanks, PJ.
Yeah, it's a really fascinating story, but it's also very moving and very timely. And so T and I and Kim have teamed up, and we've been doing interviews for the past year. And I'm super excited to share that with everyone, but there's a long way to go on it.
Well, I want to make sure everybody follows you so that they can keep up with those projects, and we'd be happy to support them because what you're doing is great, and I'm pretty sure that you'll have more followers when they see your work.
It's the picture of a. There's just one person on the cover, right?
Yes, sir.
That's the one. Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure because it looks a little creepy.
It is creepy. It's a great cover.
Okay, hold on one sec. I'll have it up in a sec.
Thank you, Dr. O, for putting on the information for how to find it, where to find it.
Yeah.
So you can still watch it apparently on Amazon Prime.
Yeah, I think unfortunately I have to pay for it now, but on Prime, I could be wrong unless they put it right back on Prime again. But people ask where can they see it best to help us out. But I at this point see it anywhere. It'll make me happy.
Anywhere. Yeah. Well, you do have quite a few views on YouTube, so that's.
If it does help to watch it on Amazon Prime, watch it on Amazon Prime, guys.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. That's.
Interesting.
Yeah. So just to tease the story a little bit, the gentleman on the cover of the book is a guy named Richard McCaslin, and he became very, very obsessed with Alex Jones in the end of the 1990s, and Alex Jones had infiltrated a place called the Bohemian Grove, where he convinced his viewers there were sacrifices being made for the sake of the deep state, and it's a real place. It's a real place in outside of San Francisco, in Northern California, and there's plenty of weird stuff that is real about it. But Richard McCaslin, who thought of himself as a real life superhero, put his Phantom Patriot costume on and snuck into the Bohemian Grove and tried to burn it down, and then spent the next 6 years in prison. And when he came out, he didn't like Alex Jones anymore, but he didn't give up on his conspiracy theories. So it was it's a very poignant story. The world of real life superheroes is in a fascinating little subchapter of our society. We've met some fantastically awesome people, including folks at the National Butterfly Center in Texas, at the border of on the Rio Grande, just it's been a very, very cool journey. I'm very excited about it.
Interesting. So you're talking about conspiracy theories and like real life heroes as well.
Correct.
So
it goes together. It's one story leads into the next.
Yeah.
It'll be fun. I saw a question come up.
Yeah. On top of your many talents and interests, we share two passions: music and amateur astronomy. I was going to ask you this too. What instruments do you play? When did you start? And what drew you to music? And I think the second part of that question is: do you maybe have any images of your astronomy that you want to show? Shoot, I have to put my glasses on. So I don't know how to share images here on
the bottom part of the screen, right underneath where we are, it says share.
A little plus sign.
A little plus sign.
Let's see.
It's two over from leave the studio. Don't leave the studio. just
okay.
hit that.
Oh yeah.
And then what you do when you do that, it's going to say share screen. And then it'll give you the choice, go over to your Chrome tab so that you can see all of your windows to share.
Okay, share screen.
And make sure you just pick a single tab, otherwise you'll just share your whole desktop.
Yeah.
Oh,
so just go to Chrome tab. Once you hit share screen, go to the Chrome tab to the left, and then you can select which window you want to share. So it's only going to share that window.
Okay, great.
me telling and
Similar to Zoom, but
that's funny.
And you don't have to. You don't have to actually go to the Chrome tab. You can just hit a single window if you have another browser open.
Let's see here.
Or you can do that too. Thanks, PJ.
Oh, you know, it's let me just see if I can figure this out in a better way. Oh, wait, here. There we go. Did it do it? Oh, shoot. Well, it didn't do it yet. Hang on. Well, we'll figure this out here in a moment.
Yeah, no problem. Well, we'll talk amongst ourselves while you're doing that. No problem. Yeah. So music, as far as music, while we get to the astronomy, music. You play?
I do. Yeah. So I play. Well, currently I play my banjo.
Nice banjo back there.
Yeah, that's one of the back wall, right? And then I started playing music with trumpet and piano as a kid. You can't really play the trumpet without annoying everyone in the neighborhood. So some might argue the same about banjo.
Meanwhile, why don't we give him a second? And Elyse, do you want to share what you like? Is there anything you would like to share about? You were talking to us before, maybe. Is there anything you'd like to share?
Do you mean like?
If you want.
Well, this is what I got yesterday.
Wow.
That's awesome, guys.
Oh wow, that's cool.
It's Uhura's dress.
Oh yay!
Just lovely to honor her. So I'll be doing some cameos with some green screen soon, which I'm excited for.
That's going to be great.
It's a big secret, right? We can't talk about it. It's a secret.
Yes.
That's top secret stuff.
Top secret.
Well, maybe some people in chat that I'll be doing some cameos with.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, that's going to be exciting. So when is that going to be done?
The green screen is arriving next week. So that's going to be interesting. I've never worked with a green screen before. And then we'll see how that goes. Yeah.
Nice.
Maria, I'm just sending you one of my images.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I guess this is a good a time as any just to let people know that Eric's friend Brandon Fayette will be on Orville Nation on Sunday.
Oh, awesome, Brandon! Hey, well, tell him I said hi and kick him in the shins for him.
Absolutely. So we will be talking to Brandon on Sunday, and we haven't had a chance to talk to him before, so be very excited.
That'll be great. Yeah.
Thanks for that.
Yeah. The cool thing is, I mean, there were so many great artists that worked on the show, and Brandon definitely is such a central hub of designing the spaceships and having a direct line of communication with Seth at all times. So he really did a fantastic job of making sure that Seth was getting exactly everything that he wanted the whole time.
One of my questions for Brandon is, and I mean, you kind of touched upon it, is this next level of creation really is it more about the way you guys coordinate everybody under you? Is there a lot of like human resources management there?
Yeah, there's a ton, and man, it really part of it is that, but part of it is that the way the sets are built with visual effects in mind, and the way the lighting is done to make things interactive and everything really makes it feel more like it's on everything was filmed on set and not that it was something comped in later. So it really I just think that everyone in the industry is trying to do trying to one up their previous work, and so it just becomes almost like a personal goal to redefine what better is and just try it. And because things get done the same way a lot, and they just sort of hover in that zone. Well, That's the Pelican Nebula that was photographed from my front yard.
Really?
And it looks like Deadpool in the middle if you look at it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Yeah, you kind of think of it, but yeah, it's just a very large nebula, and that was there he is.
That's awesome.
But this was so when you can't really see it with your naked eye like this. You have to have the camera locked in on the stars and tracking with the stars, which is its own challenge. And then you take a whole bunch of very long exposures and then combine them, and then you get into the Photoshop file of all these layers put together and draw the details out. I used to have a darkroom, and I used to do my own photo processing and stuff like that, which is a messy and stinky hobby. But it's very creatively satisfying because you can physically manipulate it, photograph it until it gets exactly what you want. And that part of that fun has been lost with digital photography. Digital photography is very easy to get, exactly what you want, either straight out of the camera or with minimal effort in Photoshop or iPhoto or whatever. So this astrophotography is the first time that I've gotten into actually just really feeling that same satisfaction creatively.
And Chuck also asks about the equipment. Can you kind of share what kind of equipment you're using?
Oh yeah, it's not very fancy. Hang on.
Hey Todd. Hey everybody. Sorry, I haven't had a chance to say.
Wow.
It's my Skywatcher Pro that
Nice.
mounts onto a tripod, and it rotates around. The camera mounts right here and points at the stars, and then this guy spins with the rotation of the Earth so that the stars stay locked on and really long exposures. So this is the main tool.
So it's like programmed to spin exactly with the rotation of the Earth?
Yes.
That's my gosh.
Yeah.
That's a fun toy.
It does a really good job, but it's not perfect. And then there's software that you load in to call guiding software that actually talks to your tracking mount and tells it to make little micro corrections. Yes, narrowband filters. Yeah. So so DJ, I do as well. This is this image is shot through a dual narrowband filter, and is just getting the light waves from the oxygen and the sulfur.
Can I ask how did you know where to point the camera? Like, did you know there was a nebula there?
Well, yeah, that's the fun thing is that well, one crazy thing is that what we can't see is that there's something up that's fascinating to point your camera at almost everywhere in the sky.
Yeah.
And that all of the areas of the sky have been very, very well mapped. And there's software that you can look at. I mean, well, first of all, you can buy a really fancy mount and tell it to point at something, and it will automatically go right there.
Oh my gosh!
And that takes, but that takes some of the challenge out of it. So I like to do what's called star hopping, because it helps you really understand the relationship to everything in the sky, which is you find a star that you can see with your naked eye that you can mark on a map, and then you move, incrementally away from that star until you're looking at the right set of stars, because it really is it's very well mapped. It takes a little bit of getting used to, but once you get there, it gives you a really great, fascinating. It almost feels like I have a more a tangible relationship with the night sky. Because you have to poke around it and like that.
Have you ever seen anything that you couldn't really figure out what it was? I'm not talking about a UFO. I'm just talking about.
No, I don't have equipment that's cool enough to spot stuff that is that hasn't been spotted before. I mean, there are people who legitimately discover new comets, because you you'll look at your work the next day and you'll see one of those stars moved and it shouldn't have, and you report it, and then other people look in that sky and then it gets confirmed, and that would be something completely awesome.
Wow, that would be so cool.
Out here where I live, we have pretty dark skies. We're not too far from the city, but it's pretty dark skies, and we get nowadays you'll get a lot more satellites than we got a while ago, and it is interesting to see whenever Starlink does a launch, it makes a train of like 20 or 30 satellites in a row. It looks like a string of pearls going through the sky.
Wow.
Yeah, and they do that way for a little bit of time before they all spread out into where they need to be.
Isn't there an app you can get that you can see when it's crossing?
Yeah, you can do that with I mean, there's an app called Stellarium that has, and it's free. It's amazing that it's free. But you can pinpoint the International Space Station. It labels all sorts of satellites. It'll tell you whether or not it's a Starlink satellite or whether or not it's an unknown satellite. It's pretty cool. You do need to guide your time exposures. So because the rotating mount does a really pretty good job of keeping it does a really good job of keeping pretty close to the rotation of the Earth, but it's not perfect. The guiding program, I use something it's called PhD2 that actually talks directly to a little guide scope stuck on the side of my camera that kind of just tells it where to go. But I don't even use a telescope, to be honest. I'm using
I do have to ask, Eric. Now, Maria said, not UFOs, but have you seen anything?
Okay, so
anything odd?
Yeah, I mean, Arthur C. Clarke said that if you don't see something that you can't identify in the sky, then you're either not looking up or you're not very observant. And unfortunately, I think that it's so easy to explain everything now that the fun of the mystery is gone on a lot of things. But it used to be that you could see what looked like a satellite going, and then it would flash super bright, and then it would disappear. And I was like, well, there's a UFO. I can't explain that. But then it turns out it's just what they call an Iridium Flare, which is something that it's angled just perfectly at the right angle, and it flashes the reflection of the sun bright enough that it looks like something flaring, and then it's gone, and then you can't see it.
It's like a photon from the sun?
Kind of. Well, it's like basically the reflective surfaces on the satellites, and I might not be defining an Iridium Flare perfectly great, but how I understood it to be was that a lot of the satellites have reflective surfaces, and if they're angled perfectly, it's the sunlight that you're seeing that's bouncing off of the reflective surfaces of the the satellite. And then if it angles perfectly, it's like if you just got a mirror and shined it perfectly, and you get that bright light, and then if it angles away, it goes away. But yeah, there was a couple times I saw those, and I'm like, I don't know what that is. But now the internet taught me.
So it sounds like with the love of astronomy and working on things about space, you ever plan on maybe taking a trip out there sometime?
Sure, why not?
As you can now. Yeah. I mean,
I don't know. I mean, if the opportunity presented itself, I'd sure have a hard time saying no. Yeah,
because they have that nowadays, right? Where you can get a ride for a little while.
Blue Origin, it's not cheap. It's out of my price range, but yeah, it would be a very cool experience
for only 4 monthly payments.
Right.
I know you have to go soon, Eric, but is there anything you can say about this image, for example, that we're seeing here?
Well, yeah. I mean, okay, so let's see here. I mean,
this is the one with like all the Planetary Union vessels.
Yeah. And this is which boy,
I think it's from episode 9.
No, episode 9, yeah, because that's when everything gets really intense. I mean, it's what is there? Yeah, because it's hard to define what to say about it. I mean, a shot like that takes months to create, and dozens, if not hundreds, of artists. And so what we do in the direct VFX office with Seth is we create a previs of this, which is basically a very rudimentary animation of it, and have Seth looks at it and he gives notes. He says, there's not enough spaceships, or the camera wants to move a little more dramatically, or we want stuff on this side instead of that side. And then that goes through that process, and then that's packaged up and sent to the company that's going to make the actual shot. And in this case, oh boy, I'm going to get in trouble if I say the wrong company name, because there were so many shots, and I'm looking at this one, and it's like, you picked one that I don't remember. But
what amazes me real quick is that, I was going to ask while you're explaining this, do you have to consult with actual scientists and astronauts and all those other people to get the shadows right, to get the atmosphere?
So there's a great question, and I'm going to circle back and answer that about a different sequence.
Okay.
But within regards to this sequence, I mean, the thing about it is that when you're out in space, there's no atmosphere, and you get one big source of light, which is the sun, and yeah, exactly, it's and what ends up happening is that that's what you see in a lot of the NASA still images. You'll see a really bright side, and it almost falls off into black on the other side, which is really cool in a still image or something like that. But when you're trying to make a fun, exciting action sequence, you don't want everything to fall off into black. So we introduce fill light to the other side, just to give it a little bit of balance to it. So we still feel like it's a one light source out there, but you can kind of feel the whole spacecraft. And then, and in a case like this, I mean, we don't do a lot of, sometimes we did a little bit of cheated atmosphere in the space shots just to make things feel farther away. Very rarely, because most of the stuff that we did was very clean. The sequence that we did have a lot of consultation about was when they go 99% the speed of light in, I think it's the 6th episode, when they go back in to the 21st century Earth.
With those red streaks and the different colors. And
yeah, so that we talked to Andre Bormanis, who was our science consultant and is one of the main writers on the show, and a producer on the show. And he also is a brilliant mind. And so he guided us to understand what happens when you're traveling at that speed of light, and there is a shift that you would perceive of how the red and green light waves and the blue light waves are going to be perceived, and it just depends on whether or not you're going toward something or away from it. So things would look blue from the far away, red as they got closer, and then green as they're leaving behind you. I did see online a few people who are smarter than me who go, wow, they really nailed the red shift and the chromatic shift that you would get from that. But this was a very challenging sequence to dial in correctly, because we wanted to get it so that we would stand up to, Neil Tyson wanted to have something to say about it. Same with the when they're looking at the Big Dipper over Montana, and Isaac is drawing the Big Dipper with his finger light. We made sure that is the way you would see the Big Dipper to the north in Montana at a certain time of the year.
That is some detail. That is some detail. I was like, look, the Big Dipper.
So there we go, Rapunzel 347. Yes, thank you very much. That meant a lot. It was fun. I'm a nerd, and so I appreciate it when I can help make it so that things are that the nerds get it. That, I mean, that was fun. One of the fun things that we did in my astronaut movie was, and a lot of people didn't understand, why is he going to Earth and when he's going to there, and why is he going to be that the path that the rocket or that the capsule is on to go to Europa is based upon an actual trajectory that several of the probe missions that went to Jupiter went on. So that was how that's the trip you would take to get there.
That's really cool.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
I'm so jealous.
Yeah, the astronaut movie was very scientifically accurate.
We tried. My dad consulted on that, and he is a systems engineer. Did a lot of work for NASA, and he actually helped design the camera on the original Mars lander. So
wow.
he and I worked together to design the spaceship and how it would work, and how, I mean, we made it spin. It would have to spin a lot faster to create gravity, but we didn't. It would look silly in the movie, so it spins a little bit more gracefully in the movie. But yeah, you're correct. Real space travel is not in a straight line.
Mm-hmm.
Not even a little bit.
Wow.
We don't want to. How are you doing on time, Eric?
Yeah.
I'm okay. I'm
having
having fun.
much.
So I'm having fun, and I don't want to.
That's what I was hoping for.
I think.
I remember.
Go ahead.
I remember
Elyse.
Carl. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Elyse. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I remember Carl Sagan talking about that shift in Cosmos.
Yes.
He was riding that bike.
Yeah.
Einstein, he was talking about the red and the colors. I was like, that's really cool.
It was, yeah, and it was written into the script that we were going to accomplish that, and it was something that we all sat around and said, what does this mean? I mean, how do we do this? And so it was fun to actually be part of helping make this work. But any time that we had a scientific question that came up as to how things were going to be, it was we talked to Andrea.
What was the most challenging and the most fun things you've done working with Seth and the Orville?
I mean, they're the challenging aspects are just that it's hard to do this much work, and I don't mean it's just, it was a lot of shots. Seth is a very, he's a very fun person to work with. So it's not like the challenging aspects of it were the job itself, not anything in particular. There's always at the end of a schedule, there's always seems to be more shots to get done than there is time to do them in. But that didn't really have anything to do with Seth. Fun aspects of working with him. He's a very funny person, and witty and yet also sharp and completely I had fun to be around on set. So yeah, he's so. I really.
I think he also has a sense of just reading people, because it seems that every person that we've spoken with or that has talked about the Orville has all talked about how they've become a family and become a team, and he picks those right people, like with the right talents and just everything. They nail it so well. So I think there's a lot to be said for the family that you have all created.
Yeah. I would say that that's very true, and that I was new to season 3, but most everyone else has been working with Seth for a long time. So he does like to keep the same people around, which makes everyone feel good.
Yeah, that speaks to the company culture that is so important when you're managing. I do want to show. I did want to show this image of Eric. This is something that Brandon posted. We're going to ask him about this on Sunday.
Okay.
But maybe you can comment on this. So apparently you guys would 3D animate everything, the whole sequence.
This whole sequence, yes. This is what you're seeing here is previs, which is that rudimentary animation that we talked about. And this is a pretty high class previs. I mean, previs can oftentimes just be shapes moving around. Here we went so far as to have animated people doing something. This sequence was important for the landing of the cadence of the landing and how people were going to be done, because a lot of that then this animation is done prior to shooting, and then we shoot what can be done live action to fit within the sequence. We shoot it based upon this, and then we go back and we'll do what's called post-viz, which is now we take the footage that's been shot and we re-previs it again, so that the people working on the sequence can know exactly what they need to do. A lot of the work that was done was in these previs sequences and post-viz sequences, and the goal was always that the companies building these sequences would largely be able to start with these animations and these camera angles and everything like that, and then just detail them out and finish them. Because much of the animation was approved by Seth before the vendors would begin their work on the show.
Eric, I wanted to ask you, you mentioned that you've worked a lot with building, like physical things. Do you do any of the 3D modeling?
So I do a little. It's weird how I prefer, feeling it in my hands. I don't. I mean, it's very hard for me to manipulate things in 3D space. Some people can pick it up and sculpt away at it, and they just, that's their jam. I like to get my hands dirty and to feel the object in my hands. It's hard because I don't have. I mean, there's not much call for that kind of work anymore. In fact, when I was working on Terminator 3, that was the first time that, and this was a while ago, so I want to say 2002. It was the first time that I worked on a show where parts of the robots that we were working on were designed in computer and then sent off to be grown by a 3D printer. And instead of, because normally, like with the Doc Ock tentacles, every piece of that was hand carved.
Oh my gosh.
And then we'd make a mold, and then we'd cast it, and then you'd have to finish, patch all the spots. I mean, it's again fine art to do that. And then all of a sudden, one day, they walked in with a box of parts that a computer made, and they said, "Okay, guys, put them together." And it was like a model kit, and it was like, I knew at that point that I was going to have to find some. It took a while, but just because it just isn't the same. It's fun to build stuff. It's not fun to, but it's so efficient to grow a piece, and now you get a much more highly detailed piece that is, mathematically clean. There's back in the quote unquote old days, you get something. If you looked at a movie prop and you looked at it in your hand, you're like, this looks clunky and it's high, or they'd say it looks proppy, because they don't look clean. They're handmade. They're all handmade. Sure. So like all the original phasers from Star Trek, I
was going to say, TOS.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, this is exciting. I mean, all of this, just for all of us nerds here, this nerd community, this is so fun. And I'm checking the time to make sure. I'd said, I promise I won't keep you more than an hour.
Oh yeah, I probably I probably should wrap out pretty soon.
Yeah. So no, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us, to go over this with us, and I hope that we can see more of your work soon. So make sure you guys follow him so you can keep up. I would like to see what you have in store next, and also to get people to fall in love with your movie, because I think they're going to love it too. So PJ, do you have anything?
I have one final question with it related to an image from Eric's Twitter. And don't worry, it's not embarrassing.
Okay.
But he's like, are you in fact playing hockey still?
I do, yeah. We're awesome. My team is in the playoffs. Our round one is next week. We're the Goal Busters.
Very nice. I love that.
That is our Slimer jersey kit. Yeah, and yeah. Oh boy,
That's so
embarrassing.
That's a
fun.
cool shirt.
He's like, you said it wasn't going to be embarrassing. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
This is a good reminder that I shouldn't post selfies on.
I love it. It's great. Oh, I hope that maybe we can come across you again after you have some more projects under your belt, so we can go over that if you don't mind.
Of course.
It'd be great to have you. And thank you again. And I'm sorry for those of you in chat who wanted to ask him some stuff, and we couldn't get to you, but maybe next time. And I'm gonna stick around with PJ and Elyse real quick so we can kind of go over some more stuff while we allow you to enjoy the rest of your evening, because we do appreciate your time with us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It was
Lovely to meet you.
Yeah, it was lovely to meet you. And PJ, it was good to see you again.
It's great to see you, Eric.
Thank you, everyone.
Whenever you have anything, like we've always said, whenever you have any new projects that you want to get out, let us know, because this is your home.
I appreciate it. You guys are the best, and this meant a
Absolutely.
lot to me. And just want to say how much I love my time on Orville and all of my friends that I've made there, and I look forward to working with them all again.
Sounds wonderful.
Okay.
Thanks. We'll keep in touch then, and you have a good and safe rest of your evening with you and your family.
Thank you very much. You guys have a great time.
Thank
Bye,
you.
Eric.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
That was so fun.
It was. Wow.
Yeah, that was a lot of information.
We actually covered like a lot of different things about Eric in a very
did.
short period of time. So that was really nice.
We did. And that's what I wanted, is to highlight his work on other things as well, because it all ties in together, but it also highlights his talents and what it takes to actually do
Yeah, he's a
what
very
he has to
talented guy.
do. So
And we did field a lot of questions from the chat, actually, Maria.
we did. So we did pretty well. And Elyse, you're awesome. So
Now get ready to grill Elyse, everybody in the chat.
she's like, oh boy, no. So yeah, and for those of you who didn't see when she was with me the last time, I brought her on because she had created one of the Orville games, and now I think at that time we spoke, you were working on the 3D version of the Orville game.
Mm-hmm.
And so, oh gosh, I don't remember what I did with the link, because I'm all backwards, to the game where they can actually get the one that's out there now, for them to play.
From itch.io. Yeah.
Okay.
Your cat looks like it has like a mustache a little bit.
She does. She does. She hates being on camera, and she doesn't know she is, because if she knew, she would be mad at me.
Thank you, Pedro.
She's, yeah.
It's good to see you, Pedro.
Yeah. Yes,
Good to see you.
Pedro, how are you? Thanks for being here. And for all of you, and I apologize that I didn't get to say hi to you individually, because we were a bit rushed to get them on here. But so how far yet on that 3D?
Well, at the moment, we've got the task of modeling the ship. So that's going to be a bit of effort. We're kind of tossing up whether to go with the season 3 ship, like the new ship layouts and stuff like that, whether we should change it up to fit. And I think we should, because the season 3 ship is amazing, elevated. Really good.
I was going to ask that, because the last time I don't think we because season 3 hadn't been out. And since then they've got, I always said they bought a new car. So they have new vehicles, and those are going to have to be put in there.
Yeah. And the new walls in the hallways.
Yeah.
And I think that they got rid of the carpet as well on the floor.
Yeah, you're like,
yeah,
I gotta do some more stuff.
So we're just modeling at the moment and programming. Lots of coding.
Yeah, has your team grown since we last talked?
Yes, I'm getting more help. We're getting some international help. We've also got a Game Boy cartridge coming out. Did you guys see that?
Yeah.
I did, yeah.
So
That's for the 2D game.
yeah. So
Nice.
Kevin, Sci-Fi Source, he's actually making the game so you can get it on cartridge and play it on a Game Boy.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Pretty awesome.
Wow.
Awesome. No, that's so cool. And I don't want to take up your time too, because it's pretty well. It's early for you, but you probably, I don't know what your time is like, but I know that PJ will probably.
Well, I want to ask a few questions of Elyse, if that's okay.
Oh yeah, if she's okay with it.
Yeah. So what is your, or how did you get into this? First of all, how did you get into doing the gaming of the Orville, these Orville games?
So Kevin, who's doing the Game Boy, he approached me and asked for some help with the writing. So I kind of wrote the game out and I wrote the script, which was really fun to write. It was so easy. I did it within like a day. And I kind of showed him some of the concepts that I was thinking we could have for like the pixel art. Thank you, Pedro. And yeah, so he told me that we couldn't have those colors. But I was like, these colors look really cool. And what if we made a PC version and a Game Boy version, and I'll just do the PC version. So he kind of let me do the PC one, and he's doing the Game Boy one. But I just kind of enjoyed the process of like making art and coding and like learning this whole other area, because I've always been a gamer. I've always had games growing up like my whole life. So learning the behind the scenes of like what it actually takes to make things and do things is really cool. It's a tedious process, but it's rewarding when you get it working, and yeah, it's a lot of fun.
So where do you envision this path taking you, in a couple of years from now? Are you getting more and more involved in all this?
I'm hoping that we could just like continue on with the game, because the first one is like an episode 1, and then we can have like an episode 2, and then we can have like an episode 3, and so it kind of
that's cool.
Keeps evolving. So we start with pixel, then we go voxel, and then we go maybe more 3D, normal modeling, and then we can kind of evolve and keep evolving.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Evolution's good.
and the Orville, and so what do you most like about the Orville? Because it seemed like a no-brainer for you to do it on the Orville.
I love.
You picked the Orville for a reason, right?
Yes. Well, I only got introduced to Star Trek, I think it was like maybe 6 or 7 years ago. So sci-fi's always been in my family, but I never really kind of checked it out myself. And when I did, I was like, it's really intelligent, and I love intelligent writing and things that kind of make you think, but it's also entertaining and light and fun. So I think that kind of duo of education with like this lightheartedness is really intriguing to me. It's something that I want to do more in my career as a philosopher, to kind of combine those two elements into my own work. So Star Trek really did that, and then the Orville obviously does that as well. So it was a no-brainer.
Okay.
Oh my goodness. I'm trying to do all this without my glasses. Thank you for helping me, PJ, and for my wrench in the chat. And did you have something else, Mr. PJ, before we?
Well, I don't want to hold people up. I don't know how you. I don't know if you were. I know you didn't want to go too long, so we can save. We still have to have Elyse on Orville Nation. Believe it or not, we haven't had her on yet.
Next week.
Elyse and I we're gonna talk about that. Yeah.
Nice.
So we will have we can continue talking to Elyse at another time.
Another time, absolutely. Yeah, I this has been such an exciting night, and we'll talk to you backstage a little bit. And thank you for all of you guys who came in here, whether it's last minute or not, doesn't matter as long as you're here. And there's always a replay button, but
it's not.
But it is winter there, right?
It is winter. It's an electric fireplace. It's really cool. And it's actually a heater as well, so I can turn it up. But it's all lights, yeah.
I have one of those. Mine's on a smaller scale. I like that one.
Yeah, it's so cool.
All right. Well, you know what, guys? Were you gonna say something, PJ?
No, I'm just looking through the chat.
And then just one quick thing, that the picture behind us in the background is my sky. I took it.
Oh,
stormy night. So.
That's a stormy night.
Yeah, it was. That's lightning behind the clouds.
Wow.
So yeah, I was quite proud to use that one. So
it's taken a lot of shots to get the lightning.
Yeah, I went to a lot of shots. I was like, I gotta get that. Yeah, it was fun. So
yes, Maria's visual effects.
Yeah, my visual effects.
She's getting better.
Getting there. Okay, well, I'm going to see you guys here in just a bit. Let me exit out here and let everybody enjoy their evening. Thank you guys so much for making our guests feel welcome tonight. And I hope we have you back. I don't mean to be selfish, but I'd love to have you back again because you're just
I would love to come back. I love being with you.
And Eric says, cool shot on your sky shot there, Maria.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much, Eric. It was such an honor to have you on Tea and Telly. Thank you.
It was a huge honor. So thank you. Well, you guys have yourself a good rest of your evening. Enjoy. And we'll catch you Tuesday when I go back to meditation. So Tuesday meditation and maybe a surprise for next Friday. Don't forget the cakes. I wanted Eric to see those, but I guess we'll have to do that another time. The cakes, we're going to do it next Friday to give everybody some time. The Orville decorated cakes or your Dolly cake.
Oh, so, cool.
Yeah, we're having that little to see who can decorate it for me since I made a Dolly cake.
And just a quick reminder, we're going to have Brandon on Sunday.
Yeah.
So we are going to kind of continue this VFX dialogue on T and Telly's sister or brother channel, Orville Nation. And thank you so much again, Eric. Thank you for popping in the chat. That's a great note to close on.
Yeah, it is. So I'll do that now.
Thank you, guys. Amazing.
Thank you, Elyse.
We'll see you soon.